and Saya Lice from Piedmont School. And last but surely not least, our very dear friends from Oakland School for the Arts, who really helped anchor our ideas to make this a community event. Pedro Farrell and Lena O'Neill for keeping us on track food-wise and for formulating new ideas. Imani Dilts for helping us create the lovely ambiance today. Ali Khan for thinking up great ideas in our meetings. Tatiana Hobson for branching out of the school and networking. We have Max Neary for calling numbers of people yesterday with me. Kiana Fanini for organizing Vocal Rush, who will be singing later in the evening. Max Swanson for creating lovely artwork displayed tonight, and Zoe, over there, for doing photography and videography. Without all of you, this event could not have been possible. I am impressed that we together have been able to coordinate this event solely on the work of teenagers. What does that mean? Well, let me tell you. Together, as teenagers, we have been able to create a very high-class event, and I'm sure each and every one of you, too, can do the same thing. This is exactly the type of involvement I'm asking of you in the next couple months. What does this mean? This means registering your families and your friends to vote this November. This means signing up to do phone banking. This means going out of your way to educate other people in politics. This means starting groups and organizations at your school like the Young Democrats Club, Youth for Obama, and the Youth Coalition for Change. We do have the power to make changes in the way we are viewed. You see, youth in Oakland and the Bay Area are number 1, underrepresented, number 2, misrepresented, and number 3, viewed in an unfair and unjust light. Together, we can change the way society views us. So let's do it. With that, I'd like to welcome up my good friend and business partner. She has been the fire behind this event, and I'm so pleased to have her speak tonight. Spoken word champion and senior literary artist, Kerby Lynch from Oakland School for the Arts.
Hello, everybody. I just want to say, first, I want to give thanks to everybody who came out. Secondly, I want to thank Dharmapalan. She's the mastermind behind all of this. She brought us together because that she knew it would be important to bring Oakland together for change. And so my speech is going to be about Oakland. You know, I feel like this is something I have to touch upon. Oakland, we have forgot that we create history. Oakland youth, we create history. Who was it that created the Black Panther Party? Huey Newton, a young college student at Merritt, up there on the hill. He was, 21 years old. That is a young person, that is a student, just like all of us in this room. We have an ability and we have a duty to keep the Oakland legacy of youth for change. That's us. What I want this meeting to prove is that we can come together and really make some things happen. This election is crucial. It's crucial for youth. There's a lot of things on the ballot. There's a lot of things at stake that we need to get involved in and really get informed about. We need to register youth. Because we need to make youth come out in numbers. It's statistically proven that old folks, like these people.
What?
Wow. Can we get middle-aged at least?
Yeah, come on.
So they come out in the numbers to vote. And so who's going to get represented in that voting? Who are they going to vote for? They're going to vote in favor of their own issues. Youth need to come out so we don't get left out of the conversation. We don't get left out of the public policy making. We don't get left out of anything, because that is what's happening. We have big things. We have loans. Loans are going up at high APR rates, okay? Who's not fighting for that? It's us. Public policy. It affects everyday people, and the everyday people need to get involved. So we came together to make this happen, for us to come together and build a coalition for change. We have great resources for you guys to take home, to get involved in, and we just want this to be a great event for everybody, to really go home and take away with that we need to make change, and that we're showing Bobby to really see an example of youth coming together for change. So I want to say thank you, and Rebecca's going to introduce our new guest.
Yes.
Nicole.
So hi everyone, my name is Nicole Wilkins, and I am pleased to present our guest speaker. Bryan Parker is my friend. He's like a brother to me. He and I actually went to Cal Berkeley together. So as freshmen, We came up in the dorms, lots of fun times. And so now, Bryan has got political aspirations. He is currently on the Court of Commissioners for Oakland, and he's also got higher political aspirations to run for mayor.
Woohoo!
And I'm working with Bryan on his effort. I'm part of the exploratory committee, and he's got a great agenda. And I want you all to listen up. This is an opportunity for you all to be educated. I was in your seat when I was 18 years old, trying to learn more about what the political agenda is about and just trying to get educated, so I have at least enough information so I can make my vote and have that substantive evidence to be able to support that. So I bring before you Bryan Parker, and give him a round of applause. Thank
All right, so we're going to change just a couple of things here before I get started. We're going to have a lot more energy. I think we're here to elect or talk about electing the current and future president of the United States of America, Barack Obama. So can we get a little So I'm going to get a little bit more casual, and I want you guys to participate. I want you to ask questions, whether you interrupt me while I'm speaking or we wait till after. But this is the topic for today is about continuous engagement in leadership. And you guys are already obviously demonstrating that. But we need the same kind of passion and energy that we had 4 years ago as we tried to elect our president. So bear with me while I try to go through this. I'm super excited to be here, and I thank Rebecca and all the other young leaders for the outstanding example that you're showing here and getting us fired up and bringing us together and the leadership that you're showing. So I just would love to give all the young leaders another round of applause. So why am I excited to be here? I think you hear people in painting a vision about America as being obliqueness and talking about our youth being too lazy or disinterested or too focused on Facebook or Xbox. And one of the reasons that I'm excited to be here tonight is because I'm going to be able to witness a bunch of young leaders that are trying to change their community and trying to change America. And when I go back into the political dialogue, into Oakland, into City Hall, and at the port, I'm going to be able to tell them that they were wrong. That this is about a generation of leaders that, yes, they are hooked on Facebook, but they're not using it for silly purposes or to play games. They're using it to bring a community together, a whole society, and lead our way forward. So I am wanted to come here and talk to you about vision and the vision of a president and contrasting that on a vision on the other side. Because there's always two things to think about. And I think that together we can rally around each other, follow your leadership, follow our leadership, and lead this country forward. Every time you see one of the president's slogans that's talking about forward, I want you to think about what that concept means. So I got 3 asks. So right at the beginning we're going to do something. I'm going to hold up the dividing line is this gentleman right here in the 12. So him and everybody on this side is fired up. Everybody on this side is ready to go. Fired up?
Fired up! Fired up! Fired up! Woo!
That's okay. We'll take a couple of shots at it. Yeah. When I say fired up and ready to go, I want this side to say fired up, and I want this side to say ready to go. Okay, so we're going to try it. We're going to practice it right now, and then we're going to come back and do it again. Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
One more time with enthusiasm. Fired up?
Fired up!
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
All right. And so we're going to come back and end at the end of our talk, and hopefully before questions, if that's okay with Rebecca, with the refrain that we had in 2008 of yes we can. Because this is also about belief and coming together. So in a minute we'll do that exercise again. And then at the end, I know that we have very intelligent people all around us, so I'm not going to remind you guys when I finish speaking, and please bear with me, this may be a little longer than they envisioned when I started out, but I started writing and you know how that goes. At the end of the thing, we're going to say what?
Fired up. Ready to go.
Okay, so we're in a remedial class here. The beginning is fired up, ready to go. We're going to end with yes we can. So when I end the speech, then we're going to say what? Yes we can.
We can.
And we're going to chant that a few times. All right, we should probably practice. Yes, we can.
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 Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we
All right, I
can.
think you guys got it. It took us a minute, but that's okay. This is what we practice, and we're engaging on a Saturday night here, all right? So, what are the other two things? What are the other two things that I want you to focus on? I want you to be engaged. You guys are obviously engaged here now. I want you to continue to be engaged when you leave. It's important that you ask questions now, and that we continue to ask questions as we leave. You guys have studied in history, and surely when you get to college, you'll talk about an Enlightenment period. That goes back a long way, and the ancient philosophers, their thing was to question everything. And I want you guys to be rigorous in your thinking and engage in that kind of behavior. The other thing, and what's the purpose of us yelling those things? Being passionate, right? Being passionate, evidencing the things that we really care about. Because when it gets hard, either to get a president elected or to help him govern, the passion will take over, and that's what will carry us forward. So, as we get started, we'll try it one more time. This half of the room is fired up, ready to go. Fired up,
Fired up.
ready to go.
Fired up.
Ready to go. You guys keep practicing. We're gonna say. All right. So a little bit about me. As Nicole said, I'm a port commissioner, and for those that don't know what the port is here in Oakland, we oversee the airport. So many of you have flown out of that. You see all those cranes down by the water. So we oversee that, and a lot of real estate. We're responsible for over 80,000 jobs, direct and indirect, here in Oakland. And why did I do that? I am really passionate about growth in the economy. We stood out at a really bad time for our country, and I think all of you guys know this. And by the numbers, 8.5% is our unemployment rate in the country. Anybody tell me what that is for Oakland? Anybody want to take a guess? Somebody's great.
60.
Okay, close. 17%, or twice the national average. And if that doesn't make you sad enough, for people that are black and Hispanic in this city, it's 30%. So we've got some work to do. I also chair the city's workforce investment board, so it's really interesting to me to be able to be here with all of you who are at the front side of the workforce equation or the education side and talking about how we get this economy growing together again. So, what's the message here tonight? I want to just share 3 quick points with you guys, or maybe not so quick, but hopefully you won't fall asleep on me. Leadership and continuous involvement. What's at stake, and how can you make a difference? Rebecca has already given us some things to think about in terms of how we can make a difference, but let's go through and talk about why this is important. So leadership, I'm going to ask another question. So we've got some credit back there, and everybody can continue to participate. Who knows who John Lewis is in this room? Well, we must have somebody. You, sir.
Yeah, he's a congressman from, I believe it's from Georgia or Alabama.
There you go.
Yeah,
There you go, Georgia. There's your
I
first
knew it was
answer.
one of those.
Okay.
Yeah, and but his history, he's a civil rights leader.
That's awesome. Thank you for helping. So did everybody hear that? John R. Lewis, Democratic congressman from the state of Georgia, lives in Atlanta.
Right.
So all that stuff was right. And he was absolutely a civil rights hero. But what's the other reason that I bring him up tonight? When he started, he was 16 years old. That's when he got engaged. So I know that you guys all get it because you're here tonight. But that's what we're talking about. It's never too early to start making this kind of change. And at 16 years old, he became one of the leaders of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He met Martin Luther King at that very young age, and he became one of the first freedom riders. Martin Luther King came up and met John, and if you've ever seen him, and maybe you guys will go Google him afterwards, short guy, about 5'5", right? But this booming voice. And Martin Luther King, and I've had the pleasure of being able to meet John and take a trip on one of the civil rights trips that he leads for Congress each year. And he recounts this story of the first time that he met Dr. King. And Dr. King said, "Are you the boy from Troy? And why are you here?" And he looked at Martin Luther King, 16 years old, 5'5", and said, "Sir, I am the boy from Troy. My name is John R. Lewis, and I'm here to make a difference in America." And at that point, he became one of the leaders of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. He was one of the original Freedom Riders. And for people that don't know what the Freedom Riders were, it was a group started with African Americans that were going to drive around the South on these buses and fight for blacks to have the right to vote. And why that's important is because they didn't do it by themselves. They were joined by largely a group of Jewish Americans at the time who helped them in the face of a lot of danger in that stuff. And so John became one of the leaders of that. He was there for the I Have a Dream speech and the rest. And so I had an opportunity to meet one of the other freedom riders. His name was Rip Hamilton. And so for any of you who are, get your passion from the Spirit, I was really impressed. And you look at this man, and now they're 70 and 80 years old. And I said, or the reporter from Oprah asked him before he was about to go on the show, he said, why would you do this? And so anybody, again, that's familiar with this time in our history, or you go back and you Google it, you'll see that these folks were beaten, they were terrorized. So when they got on that bus to demand these rights and fight for what was right in our country, they knew that they were going in the face of pure danger. And the Oprah producer asked him, he says, well, why did you do that when you knew what you were facing? And he asked her, he says, do you have a Bible? And she said, yeah. I don't know, why do I need a Bible? She said, take out your Bible and turn it to Isaiah 6 and 8. And in that passage of the Bible, they are talking about the persecution of the Jews or the people of God. And he says, a voice cried out to them and asked, who will go forward and spread my word? And a voice rang back and said, choose me. And he asked to be chosen because it was his responsibility, just like with all of you, being our next generation of leaderships. He not only accepted that, he relished it, and he says, I've got to do this for a generation of others. How does this matter? How do we bring this to current day? This story of John Lewis intersects with my own. I'm a child of a civil rights leader as well. My mother was the first in her high school in a rural town called Rome, Georgia, to integrate that high school. And she did that by going to jail, by facing dogs, by having hoses turned on her, and hearing some of the most vicious racial epithets that you could imagine. But she did that so that I, and now all of you, could stand on their shoulders and get access to education. So in 1964, we got the voting rights. Then we got access to education. Why does all this matter? It's not about either one of those alone. It is by access. It's about access to the American dream. So now in places like South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia, hopefully many of you are watching the news and you see what's going on. There are people, the Republican Party, that are now trying to take votes back away from the right to vote away from blacks and other minorities. Why is that important? It's not about the blacks, Americans ourselves. It's about proxy of civil rights and about being told what to do. For all you women in here, what is at stake is the right to choose in this election. That's why this is important. And so if we allow that kind of tyranny to stand, we will lose the rights that we've all worked so hard for. And so I share these examples with you all of the 16 and 17-year-olds, same age as you, to say that your time is here, and it's right now to be leaders. To stand up, in the words that Rebecca Lynch first said, and let our leaders know that you're here. This is what you care about, and you will not accept the tyranny of the majority as the rule of the land. That's your role as we go forward. So, what's at stake? I know that you guys are going to watch some political speeches tonight. One of the speeches that either you saw or you'll see tonight is Governor Deval Patrick from the state of Massachusetts. And he called, did people see that? Anybody see Deval's speech? Okay. So what he said was, this is an election of a lifetime. And what was he talking about? He was talking about this vision, where we go as America going forward. And so the Bible, again, going back to that, tells us that without a vision, the people will perish. Both of these men have visions. Romney has a vision, and so does Barack Obama. It is about what vision we want to let rule this land. And so let's go over it, right? Let's compare and contrast a little bit, because this, I know, is what you're doing tonight. So just to put a little bit of food for thought as you're going back and forth, let's take a snapshot of what Romney's vision is. It's tax cuts for the rich. It's a land with less diversity under more strict immigration laws. It's less social services for those who need them most, like our elderly. It's a repeal of universal health care at a time when millions of Americans who previously had no coverage are now having preventative care. It's less choice for women about what they can do with their bodies. It's telling us who we can love, how we can love them, and where the sanctity of the state comes in on those fronts. I don't know about you, but that's not a vision of an America that I want to see. Anybody else?
Yeah.
All right. So let's contrast that with Obama's vision. We start with a word like inclusion. Healthcare for all Americans. A tax system where the rich pay their fair share. That's all we're saying. It's okay to be rich, but it's not okay for a millionaire like Mitt Romney to pay 14% when our teachers, bus drivers, and policemen pay between 30 and 40% of their wages in taxes. That's not right. It's a land where women's right to choose is protected. A place where we can love who we want to love, where we can do what we want to do at our own homes, and that we're not going to live under a tyranny of a system like that. Bringing it down to a practical level, it's a vision where America goes back to work. It's a vision where Oakland is not at 17% unemployment, but it's back down around 8.5. It's a vision where the children all over America and the children of this community, regardless of their skin color, and regardless of whether they live in the hills or the flatlands, have access to education. It's about getting back to living that American dream that we all talked about. So, how do you make a difference? 2008, people can remember back then, and by the way, this is the time where we're coming to the end of the speech, and people are going to remember some words called "Yes, we can." You guys are going to, so I'm giving you a prompt there. All right? So just remember that because I am coming to the end. So in 2008, what did? We gave. We gave sometimes until it hurt. If we didn't have money to give, we held fundraisers. We got creative. Excuse me. We registered voters. We talked about that concept. We wrote letters. We did social media campaigns. We rented vans and we drove people to the polls if you yourselves aren't old enough to vote. 90% in 2008 of African Americans voted for Barack Obama. That's the kind of engagement that we need again. The reason that we started with Fired Up and Ready to Go is because we have to capture that spirit. We can't get comfortable thinking that we have a lead in the polls when Mitt Romney said something that's ridiculous and he's still kind of hanging in there. Because what happens in that case is that what happened in 2004. And that we went to bed and we thought that the Democratic person running, Gore, was going to be president. In the morning we found out because of some peculiar things that went on in Florida that George Bush was the president. And that started off a pretty bad run for our economy. So we've got to stay coordinated, and we've got to stay coordinated at a federal, a state, and a local level. We've got to stay engaged. We know that clearly we can't get this president elected without this kind of effort, but we also can't govern with that same type of effort. I think what you've seen through the first part of Barack's presidency is that he had a house against him, and they stymied him everywhere he went. So if we are fortunate enough to be able to get Barack elected again, and we don't give him some help, that will be a hollow victory. So going back to Nicole's thing, we started together as 19, 18-year-old kids back at Berkeley a long time ago. Even back then, she helped me get into the leadership of our dorms, and then I was a senator at the University of California. So we've stayed engaged, we've stayed connected. And now 20 years later, Nicole and Sherry, who just walked in, have helped me form something called Citizens United for a Better Oakland. So, what can you do? Get engaged. Get our emails. Join us at the meetings. We would love to have you. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is, or just do your own thing, but stay engaged. I'll close with this. John Kennedy said in 1964, and this, I think that there's some parallels, because it was about a movement then and it's about a movement now. He said, and he was referencing Martin Luther King, that few of us will be great enough to bend the arc of history itself. But many of us, through our collective actions, will be able to write the story of this generation. That's important because our time is now. It's up for us to write the story of this generation and to be better. To realize a vision that I shared with you from our president, where America goes back to work, where we're safe, where we have great education for all people, where there's health care, where women have a right to choose what's going on with their bodies, and where we can love freely whoever we want to love. I think that we can. And so, if we can join together and remember a phrase of 2008 and just repeat it now and silently as we leave this room, yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
can.
can.
On behalf of Oakland Youth for Obama, I'd like to thank Mr. Bryan Parker for speaking tonight. Thank you so much.
And Rebecca, before I go, know if you wanted to have any questions, but
Yeah,
I'm
we're
certainly
gonna.
happy to
Yeah. So what we're gonna do is for a couple minutes, we're gonna do a little question answer period with Mr. Parker right now.
You can say
And
Bryan.
then- Bryan.
Sorry to interrupt.
And then
Yes.
afterwards, we're gonna have a little bit of a town hall discussion. And then after that, we're gonna have Shonda speak, Ms. Shonda Scott, and then we're going to be watching our first film. So, question answer period.
Okay. Thank you. So hopefully that's spurred some thoughts. And so if you don't ask your own questions, I'll call